everything that's constructed. Ultimately, we're going to have to go on that journey ourselves.
Yeah. It's a difficult journey too, and a lot of these subjects that will come up are hard to deal with. And so, how does one maintain personal emotional well-being, emotional and psychological well-being when faced with such things that could actually cause depression? How do you stay out of depression and stay empowered while doing this?
Have a true value system, a value system that is not dependent on, as I just said, the acceptance and validation coming from others. There's a big part of self-love that is involved in this. And people tend to get very depressed and alienated at times because they see all this stuff that's coming. They read all these reports about troops coming down the street, and martial law drills and foreign troop drills. And it's happening. It's true. And it needs to be talked about in the proper context. Part of being a seeker of truth is to go beyond those intimidation tactics that are out there to get us to believe that all is lost, there is no hope, and eventually, especially if we're a speaker of truth, we're going to be number one on the list to go to a FEMA camp. That's what they want us to believe, and that's what people are parroting, and this is dangerous. The Georgia coffins. Who's to say that wasn't dumped there just to freak us out and have people just report on it and report on it and report on it? And I think there are threats coming to this country in about a decade, China and Russia specifically. So if we're all just focused on U.S. troops, that continues a divide within our own country. Now, it doesn't mean these things aren't happening, but look at where this information is coming from. It's coming from the Army's website. It seems like every few days there's another announcement. Now, this stuff used to be like top secret. Ooh, we discovered this. Now it's just openly being distributed. Yes, we've got 750 million rounds of hollow point bullets, ammunition rounds that could just tear a hole through your body. The psychological impact of that is astronomical. And so, since I talk to a lot of truthers, I talk to oath keepers, I talk to people all over, many which are not spiritually grounded, I see the effect that all of that has on them. But to go back to your specific question, you got to be in your own power. However you do that, through a spiritual practice or through meditation, but there's got to be something in your life, an outlet, where you do feel that true power that you have that's outside of just looking at conspiracy-related news and information. So we have to find ways to be empowered, because the dark side definitely wants you to be pulled into it as we look into this abyss, and that's something that we just can't have.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And your videos are so good because they're so personal. As you're saying, you're making this quest, I guess you could call it your own, very much your own. Your videos are very documentary-like, really. So, again, I applaud you on them because they're very entertaining to watch, I have to say. The question here would be, how does one make their personal truth experience, their quest, how do they make it personalized? And how can that make it all the better by doing so?
Well, for me, the reason why I've been open about some of my experiences is that I'm expressing a truth that through life experience I have come to certain levels of my own awakening, and I'm currently going through another. Even Mr. Ike talks about going to deeper levels of his own consciousness and really pushing the boundaries of his mind and his spirit. And I think that by expressing where we come from, what we've been through, we might realize that a lot of us have gone through similar experiences. And it's very possible, if one is open to the idea, that some of the things that we experience in our life and in the world, from the macro to the micro, are a part of a certain spiritual destiny, where we experience hardship and naturally we gravitate towards the truth. 9/11 woke a lot of people up. It was a horrible thing. 3,000 people died and millions died after that, but it has woken up millions to potentially billions to this greater truth that we are under control, which leads other people to a greater truth. There may be a higher control over that control. And this all could be a spiritual test. So through life experience, through the personal journey, this is how you find the truths. It doesn't solely come through a book or a particular talk show host, But coming across this information might help people remember who we are, remember why we're here. And so by receiving truths through multimedia like this, which our species, as far as we know, has never had before. There may have been ancient civilizations with advanced technologies, but speaking as far as facts and what's accepted in science, this is the first time we've had this type of experience. So again, sometimes we hear words, trigger words, that I feel awaken things in our subconscious, the very ideas.
Yes, very much. Now, with your YouTube videos, I sense a real sense of frustration in you sometimes when I can tell that you're trying to spread your message to others, and maybe it's just not sticking. And I understand that that's very frustrating. How do we work through this sort of frustration? And well, do you indeed get frustrated sometimes, and how do you deal with it, I guess?
I'm currently in a phase of my life where I feel like I'm in between worlds. You know, I did come down to Texas to help out a very special individual here that wants to help the movement by creating an alternative media network where different truths, different perspectives are shared, and we're not just simply parroting what other talk show hosts are doing, not to compete, to be complementary. And I do tend to show a little, as a very emotional being, frustration at times, partly because I'm not trying to be a phony, and do this for money. I'm expressing the fact that, part of my spirit does feel under duress, having these truths inside my head, trying to convey them out to people that are still trapped in a limited perspective of reality. However, there is a time and a place to be frustrated. The power of projection has to be taken into account. And I do try when I can to project that power and strength and focus on that, because I myself am not up here on a mountain somewhere having made it. I don't even know what making it means, because money means nothing to me. And ego means nothing to me, although we all have a certain degree of that in us, but it's not the overall driving force as to why I got involved in this. In short, to answer the question, I think it's because I have high standards, and I want to see people evolve beyond this fear. And if they are going to be concerned about things in the future, I want them to think more globally about the positioning that we're seeing from China, Russia, and the U.S. We're seeing a coordinated effort to enslave the people of the world. And so I express my frustration at times, my emotions, wake up, wake up, wake up, because I feel that people are looking at a very narrow layer of the conspiracy.
Yeah, I agree. Now, just quickly, could you elaborate on, I guess if there is such a thing, it's a short story, just your ideas on China and Russia and why they are important?
So after years of interviewing people in the 9/11 Truth Movement and talking about Big Brother and then talking about other levels, I know some people aren't ready for this, but I'll give you the overview synopsis. And at some point, I would like to make a documentary film about this. So one night, I'm Googling online, and I just feel like this energetic pull to look in a certain direction. And I start to see the synchronicity, where a lot of people have blogged or shared their dreams, prophetic dreams, of one day this country being invaded by ground forces, foreign troops, UN peacekeepers. I'm not talking about the Alex Jones videotapes, not at all. That just happens to be a parallel, which is also another clue. I will call these clues that we see in our lives through synchronicities towards these truths. Well, this has been mine. And I, in the recent years, have been trying to express to people that there is an end game to this that is different than the 80% of the human population is going to be destroyed or removed from the planet. This is not something that I subscribe to, although I'm not saying that it's impossible, but I'm saying that there is another plan. So in 2007, I came across a man by the name of Leon Legant, who is a clairvoyant, and he is not a political person, and he's not someone that struts his chest around saying, I'm a psychic, come to me, I'll give you the answers. He was actually very resistant at first to coming on the show. He didn't know whether he was ready to go out there and spread his truths because of course, what people would think, and put his name out there like that. But he did. And on my show, he talked about a big Japanese earthquake coming as well, and that we would see a series of earth changes before this invasion, which would take the country by surprise. Russians coming into the East Coast, Chinese taking the West Coast, and it happening instantly. And since I've interviewed Leon Nagant, and people can find that interview online, Alex Ansary interviews Leon Nagant, episode 142, the synchronicities just started to open up like a portal. And I started to get the real-time data facts, not theories and dreams, but I started to see the evidence that for years, the tyrannical controllers that have been placed in power in this country, the Nixons, the Reagans, the Clintons, George Bush Sr., George Bush Jr., Barack Obama, they have all been working covertly, in my opinion, to build up China and to build up Russia. Through missile technology transfers, even North Korea got their light water nuclear reactors from Donald Rumsfeld, one of his corporations, as well as George W. Bush Jr. And there's so much evidence in this direction that China is being prepped to be a model for the New World Order, or the New World Order's army. It's not just NATO. Maybe these groups, NATO and the SCO, could be combined and fused together at some point later on down the line. But right now I'm seeing controlled opposition as far as, the super state level. I don't believe that there is a real tension between China, Russia, and the United States, just to make that point very clear. I believe that we're about to see a massive lie unfold, and people being pushed even further into these nationalistic boxes. By the way, Red Dawn just came out, the trailer for it. And this is Hollywood's way of introducing this meme to you. This idea of, we have to get ready for this war with China. And I think the ultimate plan is to use Chinese peacekeeping troops to control the American people down the line when martial law does not work, when U.S. troops, in reality, turn against their masters and side with the American people. This is why the Oath Keepers and other groups are being spied on. This is why DARPA is openly looking at emails from people that are active and former military. And then I look at the direction that Russia's going. This person, Leon, talked about the rise of Putin. This is when Putin was not it was 2007, and so in 2007, 2008, we saw the situation with South Ossetia. But come 2008, Medvedev became the president of Russia. And now Putin is back in power. And Leon was very specific that Putin would bring a lot of destruction to the United States. And when we look at the direction Russia's going, they're encouraging their people to have more babies, similar to the tactics that Adolf Hitler exercised. Have sex for the motherland, we need more people. Why do they need more people? And then you look at China. China, like the United States, our 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds are being hit with propaganda big time in the schools to join the military. This is where I get frustrated. And we have people thinking that this is not possible, that this is not going to happen, that they're not planning anything, that China's going to collapse in on itself this year or next year. And I believe that this is Pentagon propaganda. There's a YouTube channel called China's Forbidden News. And it's entertaining, and it's covering some of the corruption in China, but I think that's also controlled opposition as well, just like RT. You have all these media outlets talking about all these so-called truths, trying to pull people in, but they're still singing the same nationalistic tune. And so, take 9/11 for example. This is something that it's important for researchers to look at. We know it wasn't as we were told it was. 19 Arab hijackers did not turn the United States into a full-blown police state with drones overhead. But what do we see here? The result of 9/11, we have seen a global police state. We have seen this, the Muslims are going to get you, be used as an excuse in China, in India, in Russia, in England and throughout Europe, even Africa, and the United States. And I'm sorry if I missed out on other countries, but this is a global effort to use fear to control people. So I think the truth of what we're seeing is all these super states having already created their new world order, they just haven't told us yet, and they're still pushing this fallacy that we're under different economic systems and that they're struggling over resources, and that China and Russia obviously have to respond to increased U.S. imperialism. And we're going to see more of that as time goes on. This is no surprise to you and others that are watching. So what is this going to lead to? The new 9/11 will not be the United States attacked by supposedly Al-Qaeda. if Mitt Romney becomes the president, I don't see any evidence that Obama